which has more bike miles, more bike trails per capita than any other city in America. And they said, what do you think about these bike trails and how healthy the people of Denver are? He said, these bike paths are a United Nations plot to take the sovereignty of Denver away from the United States. He won the primary, folks. I couldn't make this up. You might have spent too much time in that wrestling ring. Laugh, because every time I do that and I pick up the paper the next day, all the press does is cover my laugh lines instead of what matters. What matters is, what are we going to do to get these jobs here? Who's more likely to do it? All right, if the jobs, and the president has a paid-for $50 billion paid-for infrastructure program. So we got something going here. And our message is, okay, we had 21 months, we didn't dig out of the hole, but at least we quit digging. Again, you know, I may be wasting my breath, but big chart in the Wall Street Journal this week. The U.S. has recovered 70% of its GDP loss, Germany 60, Japan 50, the UK 30, since the president's been in office. Now, nobody feels it. I don't want anybody to be grateful. All I want you to know is all the jobs are in the last 30%. In other words, we've gotten to the point where we can start creating jobs again. We don't want to start digging again. And
that's right.
So that's my answer. You heard his speech. You heard what he said about small business and manufacturing. And what do you, isn't Connecticut like have 30% of all the fuel cell jobs in the whole country here already? This is not. That's the first thing. Second thing we got to do, this is harder, is figure out, okay, there's not going to be another stimulus because the debt's big. Where are you going to get the money? The answer is there's a ton of money coming. And I'll just give you two examples. The banks have $1.8 trillion in cash now that they got not committed to loans. This administration has gone on record as saying we think we ought to offer loan guarantees if they'll finance things that will for sure create jobs in America, like clean energy jobs. That's a beginning to going after that money. They could make it very conservative things, $18 trillion worth of loans, we'd have all the jobs we know what to do with it. The corporations in America have $1.2 trillion that they haven't spent. They don't want to spend it overseas, but they haven't spent it in America. Instead of giving them tax incentives to move jobs overseas, we ought to give them tax incentives to bring jobs home.
That's right.
And the third thing, and this may be the biggest thing of all right now, you know what the cheapest thing we can do? In the last month's unemployment rate report from the Labor Department, there was the most stunning thing that I have read in a long time, and I spend about an hour a day still studying the economy. It said, okay, the unemployment rate basically went up a little because we got more jobs, but we laid off the census workers because they counted them. Then if you read way down in the report, it says, oh, for the first time in our lifetime, since World War II, posted job openings are going up twice as fast as new hires. Defies all common sense, right? We all know jobs where hundreds of people have applied. Why is that? Two reasons. More than 10% of us live in homes that are worth less than our mortgages. We can't move. No labor mobility. But the bigger reason by far is the skills mismatch, because we fell from 1st to 12th in the world in the last decade. For the first time since World War II, in the percentage of our young adults with college degrees. Because they cut back on the money going to highly technical training programs. But here's the point. The cheapest thing you can do to put more people to work is break down that data and get the information by state of every job that's been open for 3 weeks or more where there's a skills gap, and give the states the money to do the training either in a school or in the workplace. That is, let me just tell you how many jobs that is. That's 5 million jobs. And in a trend that has the unemployment rate would be 6.9%, not 9.6%, and we would be living in a different country, not just economically, but emotionally, psychologically today. There is nothing wrong with this country we can't fix, but we have to think and act and choose and make the right choice. So that's what I